You ever give someone one warning and they laugh like you're joking? I told my wife, if you invite your boss to your birthday, I'm out. One sentence, one boundary, non-negotiable. Then, boom, boom, boom. My front door shook like someone was trying to kick it off the hinges. I put down my bourbon, wiped my hands on a dish towel, walked over, and opened the door. There he stood, Wesley Pierce, face red, chest heaving, veins jumping in his neck, and behind him, my wife Laurel, pale, frozen, like she already knew what was coming. Your lawyer just called me. What the hell did you make him do? In that moment, I realized something simple. This wasn't the beginning of a fight. This was the final chapter. And if you've ever had someone cross a line inside your own home, stick around. This part is just the start. Before the pounding on the door, there was this. Laurel on the kitchen island, bare feet, oversized t-shirt, hands wrapped around a cheap mug of coffee, Sinatra playing low from an old speaker, me at the stove, burning the bacon again. We were a team, 8 years of marriage, 2 years into our first house with a mortgage that made my chest tight every month, $320,000 of American dream, wrapped around our necks like a millstone. I went out and fought traffic and job sites and deadlines as a construction project manager, pulling down 85 grand a year. Not Wall Street money, but solid. The kind of money that keeps the lights on, puts food on the table, and chips away at that mortgage payment by payment. She went to Pinnacle Financial and fought emails and meetings and clients, started at 45, but worked her way up through grit and late nights. At the end of the day, we met back here in this little kitchen in Plano like it was home base. I kept a roof over our heads, kept the lights on, put food on the table. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. The mortgage papers sat in a filing cabinet that we bought together at Walmart on a Saturday afternoon, arguing over whether we needed the 3-drawer or 4-drawer model. Stupid domestic bliss that feels like gold when you're looking back at it through the wreckage of everything that came after. She was my person, the one I wanted to tell stupid jokes to, the one I wanted next to me when the world got loud. Home was my safe place, her, this kitchen, that ugly coffee mug with the chip on the handle that she refused to throw away. Those Sunday mornings when we'd sit at this same table, planning out the week, splitting up who handled what bills, talking about maybe finishing the basement someday, turning it into something special. Back then, I really thought we were solid, built on something real, two people who showed up for each other, who had each other's backs when the world tried to knock us down. I used to look at couples who had imploded and think, that'll never be us. We talk. We're honest with each other. Pride comes before the fall, and I was about as proud as a man could be. Things didn't fall apart all at once. They shifted the day her phone lit up with an unknown number, and she said, Pinnacle Financial, they want me. Senior project coordinator. $72,000 a year. She paced our living room like a kid who just found a golden ticket, bare feet on the hardwood we'd saved up to put in. The same floor we'd installed ourselves over 3 weekends of sweat and argued measurements. Nash, this is my shot. I'd be climbing the ladder for real. I looked at her and I was proud. Not jealous, not scared, proud. Hell, I was the one who told her to go for it when she wasn't sure she was qualified. I was the one who stayed up late helping her practice her interview answers, making her coffee while she stressed over what to wear. I've got your back, I told her. Go take it. And I meant every word. I'd even turned down that Austin job offer 6 months earlier because she didn't want to relocate. $60,000 more a year, but she had her eye on something at Pinnacle, and I wasn't about to derail her dreams for my paycheck. Different worlds, same team. That's what marriage was supposed to be. Her eyes were shining at that email the way mine used to shine at a finished job site, when you step back and look at something you built with your own hands. The way they shone when we got the keys to this house, when we signed those mortgage papers that scared us both, but felt like the first real step into our adult life together. I told myself we were building a life together. Same team, just bigger goals. She'd climb her corporate ladder, I'd keep the foundation steady, and we'd meet in the middle with a life worth living. Maybe kids someday. Maybe a bigger house. Maybe one of those backyard pools we used to drive around on Sunday afternoons looking at, making jokes about lottery tickets and what we'd do with the money. After the promotion, the stories from work started changing. Before it was my team, my project, my client. The language of someone who owned her space, who knew her worth. Now it was, Wesley said this. Wesley wants that. Wesley's pushing the deadline again. She'd come home, drop her bag, kick off her heels, and sigh like she was carrying the weight of the world. He's intense, Nash. Smart. Always on. It's exhausting. I'd nod, tell her, that's corporate. You wanted the big leagues. This is it. And I meant it. I wasn't threatened by another man doing his job, pushing his team, making demands. That's what bosses do. Hell, I had my own crew to answer to, my own deadlines that kept me up at night, but his name kept showing up in our kitchen over dinner, on her lips more than mine. Bad day, Wesley. Big win, Wesley. New idea, Wesley thinks. New project, Wesley wants. New strategy, Wesley says. It was like watching someone slowly tune into a different radio station until you can't hear your own music anymore. I trusted her, trusted us, trusted the life we'd already built with. That crushing mortgage and the plans we'd made to renovate the basement into a nursery someday, when we were ready, when the timing was right, when we had our feet under us financially. We used to talk about it late at night, what color we'd paint the walls, whether we'd need a humidifier, how we'd baby-proof the stairs. Looking back now, that was my mistake. His name used to be just a detail. Work stuff, office politics, the kind of thing you hear about and forget by the time dinner's over. I didn't know it would become the whole story. Not long after Wesley's name moved into our dinner table, Laurel stopped making it to dinner. Late meeting tonight, clients freaking out. I have to stay. Wesley wants the presentation finished before morning. Same kitchen, same stove, same plates, just one chair pulled out instead of two. I'd stick her plate in the microwave, plastic wrap over the top, write a stupid little note like, "Eat, I love you." In the morning, it'd still be there, cold, untouched, like she'd come home and gone straight to bed, too tired or too distracted to remember that someone had thought about her, had saved her something. I kept telling myself, that's what ambition looks like, right? You work late, you grind, you do what you have to do. I didn't want to be that guy, the insecure husband blowing up her phone, accusing her every time she came home tired. So I played it cool, said I was proud of her hustle. While the house got quieter and my thoughts got louder. Everything in the house looked the same. Nothing felt the same. Home didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a waiting room, a place you pass through on your way to somewhere else, somewhere more important, somewhere that actually mattered. The mortgage payment was still due on the 1st. The bills still came. The grass still needed cutting. But the person I was doing all of it for was somewhere else, in some conference room with some man whose name I was getting sick of hearing. The longer her nights got, the more little things started to feel off. One morning, she leaned over me to grab her laptop bag and I caught it. Not her usual perfume, something sharper, richer. Department store expensive, not drugstore practical. "New scent?" I asked, trying to sound casual, like a husband making conversation, not like a man who'd started keeping mental notes. She didn't even look up, just kept digging through her bag, checking her phone, getting ready to leave. Just a sample a friend at work gave me, don't overthink it. That was it. No smile, no, you like it, no little moment of connection, just a brush off and out the door. I sat there with my coffee getting cold, wondering when "don't overthink it" became her standard response to questions I used to be allowed to ask. That scent didn't just smell expensive, it smelled like distance, like someone getting ready for an audience I wasn't part of. I started noticing patterns. Hair done, makeup on, nice dress for the office. New. Blouses that I didn't remember her buying. Heels that looked uncomfortable, but made her legs look like she was walking into a boardroom instead of another day at the same job she'd been doing for years. At home, old sweats, messy bun, half a conversation while she scrolled her phone. Every time that new scent walked past me toward the front door, I felt more like the guy who paid the mortgage than the man she chose. The guy who kept the lights on while she got ready for the people who really mattered. After the perfume, it was the laughter. Not the laugh I knew. Not the ugly one where she'd snort in the middle of a joke, the one that used to embarrass her but made me love her more. Not the quiet one she saved for bad dad jokes I made in the kitchen while I was burning dinner. This was different, sharper, younger, like she was performing for someone. I'd be lying in bed, lights off, half asleep, and her phone would glow against the dark. Thumbs moving fast, that new laugh slipping out under her breath, low and careful, like she was trying not to wake me, but couldn't help herself. The sound of someone having fun without you. The sound of someone who'd found something better. "Who's that?" I'd ask, keeping my voice sleepy, casual. She'd angle the screen away just a little, just enough. "Just work chat. Relax, Nash." Work chat that made her laugh like that at 11:30 at night. Work chat she had to tilt the screen for. Work chat that was apparently more interesting than the man lying next to her who'd been paying half that mortgage for 2 years, who turned down Austin for her dreams, who still left her notes on plates she wouldn't eat. It wasn't just what she was hiding. It was the way she made me feel stupid for even noticing, like I was some paranoid husband who didn't understand how modern careers worked, how professional relationships functioned in her sophisticated world. Those late-night laughs turned into just one more email and sorry, this is important, and you wouldn't understand the context. One night she said, "I'm jumping in the shower," left her phone on the nightstand, screen down. The bedroom was quiet, only the AC humming and the sound of water running through the pipes in the wall. I wasn't looking for anything. I was just lying there staring at the ceiling, trying to remember the last time we'd fallen asleep at the same time, the last time she'd rolled over and put her hand on my chest like she used to. Then her phone lit up. Screen faced me now, white text on a black lock screen. "Can't wait to see you again. Same place." My eyes went straight to the name, Wesley Pierce. Not Pinnacle Financial, not unknown number, not just Wesley. Wesley with a star next to his name. My stomach clenched so hard it hurt. Ears started ringing like someone had turned the volume up on nothing. I didn't touch the phone, didn't scroll, didn't snoop. I didn't need more. In one little icon, my safe place snapped. Her boss wasn't just in her contacts. He was in her favorites, starred, priority. Important enough to cut through do not disturb mode and light up our bedroom at midnight. I was still staring at that glowing screen when the shower shut off. The message faded. The room went dark again. But my head was lit up like a crime scene. A minute later, she walked out, hair wet, wrapped in a towel, humming like nothing in the world was wrong. Like she hadn't just received a message from another man who was looking forward to seeing her again. In our bedroom, on our nightstand, next to our bed, she saw my eyes open. "You're still up?" she asked, casual, like we were just two tired people at the end of a long day. In that second, I had two lives in front of me. In one, I held up that phone, asked, "So, when exactly are you seeing Wesley again?" Listen to the script I already knew by heart. "You're paranoid. It's just work. You're overreacting, Nash." In the other, I swallowed it. Kept the evidence in my head instead of on my tongue. "Couldn't sleep," I said. That was the truth, at least. My pride wanted to swing. My peace wanted to wait. I knew if I brought it up right then, she'd make me feel crazy. So I chose to feel quiet instead. That night, after she fell asleep beside me like nothing had shifted, I lay there staring at the ceiling, knowing everything had. I could blow it up right then, wake her, fight, accuse, let her twist it, cry, turn it all back on me, or I could do something I'd never done before in my life, shut my mouth and open my eyes. The next day I sat at my laptop and created a new folder on the desktop. Nothing dramatic, just 2 words, for later. My hands shook a little the first time I screenshotted one of their messages. Not because I didn't know what I was seeing, but because I finally admitted to myself I might need proof one day. Not just for a lawyer, for me. At my age, you don't want drama. You want clarity. You want to know you're not losing your mind. I wasn't looking for proof she was guilty. I was looking for proof I wasn't crazy. Some nights, sitting alone in that quiet house, I could hear another man's ghost more than my own thoughts. My father. I was 16 when I watched my mother walk out on him. He found out she'd been cheating with her manager at the insurance office where she worked. Same story, different decade. And he shattered, not just mad, broken. He screamed through things, begged her on his knees in the driveway while the neighbors watched, made phone calls at 2 a.m., crying into the receiver, telling her he'd take her back, no matter what she'd done. I remember standing in the hallway, listening to him promise to be better, to try harder, to forgive her if she'd just come home. She never did. And he started drinking. Not social drinking, not beer with the game drinking, serious drinking. The kind that turns a man into a shadow of himself, that turns a paycheck into empty bottles, that turns a house into a place nobody wants to live. By the time she left for good, we'd lost everything. The house I grew up in, gone to the bank when Dad couldn't make the payments anymore. His truck, repossessed from the driveway while I was at school. His job at the plant, fired for showing up drunk one too many times. His health, eaten away by guilt and whiskey, and the kind of self-destruction that looks like suicide in slow motion. I remember standing in that empty house after the movers came for the last of our stuff, watching the strongest man I knew turn into somebody I didn't recognize. Somebody who'd traded his dignity for the hope that begging might bring her back. It didn't. She was already building a life with someone else, and Dad was destroying himself for a woman who'd moved on before she even left. I swore back then, if this ever happened to me, I would not be him. I'm not better than my father. I'm just older now, and I've seen what begging does to a man. So, I made myself a promise. I won't beg, I won't break, and I won't let anyone disrespect me in my own home. That became my religion. Once that folder existed, it got harder to lie to myself. Her late nights at the office lined up a little too neatly with certain charges on our joint credit card. Harper and Stone, same steakhouse, same time of night, different dates over and over. While she slept in on Saturdays, I sat at the kitchen table with a mug of coffee and a stack of statements, circling dates, writing down times and amounts. Nothing emotional about it, just numbers telling a story she wouldn't. $47 here, $63 there. Wine, appetizers, entrees for two. All on the corporate card, all listed as client development. All happening on nights when she came home smelling like the new perfume and talking about how exhausted she was from work. One evening, I drove past Harper and Stone on my way home from a job site. Didn't plan it, just turned the wheel. Through the front window, in one of those dark corner booths, I saw her, saw him. Too close for just co-workers, too relaxed for just a meeting, her hand on the table, almost touching his, both of them leaning in like they were sharing secrets. I lifted my phone, took a picture through the glass, blurry, grainy, but enough. Enough to prove to myself that I wasn't imagining things, that my wife was having dinner dates with another man while I sat at home eating reheated takeout and wondering why our marriage felt like it was falling apart. I needed to stop feeling like everything was happening to me and start acting like I had a say. I wasn't just her husband anymore. I was his worst-case scenario. A few weeks after that first lazy lie, she brought it up over dinner like it was nothing. "The team wants to do a little birthday thing for me," she said, fork pushing food around more than eating it. I kept my eyes on my plate. "At the office?" She shook her head. "No, at Harper and Stone. Just co-workers. Just my team. They booked one of the private rooms." Just her team. I didn't say it out loud, but we both knew that when she said team, one name sat at the center of it. Wesley. She talked about menus and wine and dress codes like it was some big grown-up celebration. I listened, but inside something steady started to form. Up to that point, the lines had all been in my head. Things I wouldn't tolerate. Things I'd never actually said out loud. That night, with her birthday dinner at our steakhouse on the table, I felt it harden into something else. That's when I decided to draw a line she couldn't laugh off. So I waited until we were alone. No phone in her hand, no laptop between us, just the two of us in that kitchen we used to call ours. She was rinsing a plate, talking about the guest list, which wine Wesley preferred, what time they'd probably wrap up. I dried my hands, looked straight at her, and said it slow, so there'd be no way to misunderstand. "If you invite your boss to your birthday, I'm out. That's non-negotiable." She blinked, then smiled like I'd made a cute joke. "Oh, Nash, that's kinda sweet. You're overreacting. He's just my boss." I didn't raise my voice, didn't repeat the whole speech. I meant what I said. In my chest, it wasn't jealousy talking, it was self-respect. But she didn't hear a boundary, she heard insecurity. That's the problem when someone's already halfway gone. You finally draw a line, and they think it's something they can step over and laugh about. She heard insecurity. I was speaking in boundaries. The days after that, she wouldn't let it go. Not in the way I needed. Instead of taking my words seriously, she turned them into a running joke. If I got quiet when she mentioned work, she'd roll her eyes and say, "Don't start, okay? You're being paranoid." One night, she added, "You're too sensitive for a man your age. You know that? In America, bosses go to birthdays all the time. It's normal." There it was, not just dismissing what I said, but making me feel old, small, stupid for even having a problem. She didn't ask why that boundary mattered to me. Didn't care that I'd only ever drawn one line. Instead, she twisted it until I was the issue. My standards turned into my insecurity. My discomfort turned into me being controlling. I sat there, jaw tight, hearing my dad's voice in my head, hearing my own promise not to become him. So I stayed quiet on the outside, but something heavy settled in my gut. Enough is enough, I thought. She didn't just cross my boundary, she mocked it. Her birthday fell on a Thursday. By 6:30, the house was quiet enough to hear the fridge hum. Normally on her birthday, we'd do something small. Takeout, cheap wine, bad movie, shared blanket. Nothing Instagram-worthy, but it was ours. This year, her chair at the kitchen table stayed empty. I ate alone, one plate, one glass, the other place setting, stacked back in the cabinet. Around 8, my phone buzzed. Laurel, she'd sent a photo. Long table under warm lights, wine glasses, fancy plates, people smiling too wide. And there she was, near the center, leaning in, head tilted. Wesley sitting right beside her. Even through a screen I could see it. The comfort, the closeness, the little shift in her shoulders she didn't have with just coworkers. No caption, no "wish you were here," just the picture. Her seat at our kitchen table was empty. Her seat next to him wasn't. I zoomed in past the smiles and the candles and the wine, and that's when I saw it. A little white place card right in front of Wesley's plate. Black ink, neat handwriting. My most special guest. Not "Happy Birthday, Laurel." Not reserved. Not even his name. My most special guest on my wife's birthday at our go-to restaurant. And it wasn't my seat. That place card was the moment I stopped being her husband and started being his problem. The next morning, I woke up with a kind of calm I hadn't felt in months. Not peace, not yet, just direction. I waited until Laurel left for work, then sat at the kitchen table, opened my contacts, and found a name I hadn't needed in years. Marcus Whitfield, the attorney who got me through a nasty contract dispute once. The kind of guy who understood fine print and pressure. When he picked up, his voice was measured, busy. "Nash, been a while. What's going on?" "Marcus, I need to talk about a different kind of project." We met later that week. No drama, just me, a flash drive, and a folder full of "for later." Screenshots, emails, bank statements, photos from Harper and Stone. He went quiet for a long time as he clicked through everything. Finally, he looked up. "We can work with this." For the first time in months, I wasn't confused. I had a plan. "Look, Nash, this isn't only about cheating," he said. "There's a whistleblower angle here. Harassment, misuse of company funds, abuse of position. Company money, private dinners, power imbalance. If we frame this right, the board won't see a love story. They'll see liability. It wasn't just about hurting him for hurting me. It was about hitting him where men like him actually feel it. Career, reputation, the image he'd built of himself. The worst piece of evidence came from her. An email I'd found months back when Laurel left her laptop open. Subject line, "About the other night." The body read, "I know you're my boss, and this is complicated. I probably should have said no, but I didn't. I just don't want things to get weird at work." Marcus read it twice. Context is everything. In one light, this is a flirty mess between two adults. In another, it reads like an employee feeling pressured by a superior. Are you trying to destroy her or protect yourself? I sat with that longer than I expected. Protect me first. Whatever happens to them is on them. It didn't take long for the ripples to hit her world. A week later, Laurel came home tighter in the shoulders, phone buzzing nonstop. "Work's crazy right now. HR is pulling people into meetings with external lawyers. Nobody knows what's going on." Wesley got one of those invites, closed door. 15 minutes turned into an hour. A few days into the investigation, my phone lit up. "Nash Bennett, this is Thomas Reed. I'm on the board at Pinnacle Financial." Careful tone. "We understand your wife may have been under uncomfortable circumstances at work." I let a little worry into my voice. "She's been stressed. Long nights. There have been advances she didn't know how to handle. She didn't want to risk her job. We appreciate your integrity, Mr. Bennett. We'll handle this discreetly." They treated me like a concerned husband. I was actually their key witness. The crack finally showed when Laurel called from work, voice panicked. "They suspended him. Wesley, HR just walked him out. Nobody knows what's going on." 2 days later, Wesley Pierce was no longer with the company. No farewell memo, no LinkedIn post, just gone. That night, she told me he was out, like it was a storm she just happened to get caught in. We ended up facing each other in the living room, 3 people who'd all helped light the same fire. Wesley stepped inside like he owned the place. Laurel hovered behind him, caught between us. He jabbed a finger at me. "You set me up. You destroyed my career." "Step away from my wife," I said, calm, low. "Now." We stood there in a triangle of bad choices. Him shaking, her shaking. I'd never been calmer. "Leave," I told him, "before this gets worse for you." He turned slowly toward Laurel, eyes burning. "You still don't get it, do you? He didn't do this for you. He did it to you." After he left, Laurel's legs gave out. She dropped onto the couch, staring at the floor. "You destroyed him." "No," I said. "He destroyed himself. You just handed him the match." "The day before your birthday party, I signed divorce papers." I'd drawn a line. She stepped over it. I walked out to save the man I still had to live with. A man can lose his house, his money, even his marriage. But if he loses his self-respect, he loses everything. I didn't raise my voice. I raised my standards.